Hi all, this is Snowflake, and I just got done watching the live letter that they just had come out. Just wanted to go over it with you. Got a couple screenshots and some things I want to talk about pretty much. So one of the first things that they did is they ended up going into Titania's dungeon, and they wanted to talk about it because at this past event over at E3, they didn't have as many clears as they were probably hoping for. So they wanted to go over that and actually showcase it and kind of showed a couple different things with it, which I don't know everything that they were trying to show everybody. But while he's doing this, he actually has some dev commands that actually makes him invincible. Um, So he first starts off, he does the normal thing. He's not even getting hit by anything. If you look in the screenshot, he's invulnerable. So he's not taking any damage. So he's walking around the arena there. No big surprise. Then all of a sudden there's these like four whirlpools that actually pop up. And then oh, I didn't get a screenshot of that. So inside each one of those whirlpools, there's like a little ball that actually rotates around that. Once it fills all the way up with the different balls around the perimeter, there's an ad that actually occurs at that point. To go along with that, there's also like a fist that you would see in, I think it was like one of the alphascapes, um, and it gives you some time before it actually like slams down onto the arena floor. And then unfortunately for Yoshi, he actually took off the invincibility the invincibility dev command. So he pretty much got one shot at that point. You can actually see kind of right in here, everything's just exploding, and he ends up dying. You can see the faces on everybody. Everybody's laughing because he's dying at this point. The next thing that they started talking about was the trust system. They started going over it, uh, pretty much saying that all those people that are actually unlocked at that point will be able to jump in to a dungeon with you. Whether like let's say like you have like three people and you need like an extra DPS, well you can go to the trust system and actually like pull a DPS from that, and they'll fight along with you at that point. Um, One thing that they kind of said really quick was like each one of them has like kind of a different personality, that they're going to talk that I'm going to talk about later actually. Um, the NPCs do react differently to different situations, um, but they said in general it's gonna probably be in your best interest to actually join up with other players, since you should be getting like a complete like the dungeon should be completed a lot faster than using the trust system. The trust system, they said it like if everybody's doing everything that they're supposed to be doing, it takes about 30 minutes per dungeon run. I know in a previous live letter, Yoshi actually said that they try to tune the dungeon so that it's 20 minutes um, for like a four-person party. So if you get four people from the duty finder, it should take about 20 minutes for you guys to complete if everybody's doing what they should be doing. Um, Not all the time that happens, I understand. So it's take it what it's worth. I don't know if duty finder is going to be faster or using the trust system. But it actually kind of brings up another thing too, is if I'm assuming everybody's going to be trying to use the trust system to just test it out, but do they have enough server resources to actually like support everybody spinning up their own instance of a dungeon, along with three other people that they get from the trust system? Like, is there that much server resources to actually support that at that time, or is everything going to start crashing at that point? I don't know if they truly thought that one through. we'll see. We'll definitely see on early access and when it finally goes live for everybody in the world. Um, so yeah, here's the screen that you can pull up to see all the different people that you've unlocked at that point. And each one of these people do have to get unlocked, um, either through main quest scenario, or I think that's pretty much exactly how it's going to get unlocked. And then from this screen, you also can click on people's like picture on the right side right there, and either select them where they have a check mark, or um, they aren't selected for your group, where they don't have the check mark, kind of like Alphino and Alize. They're not in this group. You can see from the far left, you have your tank, you have your healer, you have your DPS, along with Yoshi's like the other DPS. So they just wanted to show us that screen right there. They also showed us, I think it's the first dungeon, one of the dungeons that they have queued up there. He started playing it from the beginning of that dungeon until the boss of that dungeon. One thing that they wanted to tell us, or wanted to show us too, was there was like some active animation that was actually on the top of these trees right here. So as you move through them, it started sprouting all these different flowers that were coming off of the top, which was kind of cool actually to see. Um, this is another thing that I thought was kind of cool too, is Yoshi's in there using a trust system with the three other people. The three other NPCs are actually smart enough to identify this AoE pattern and know what to do with it. So like obviously this is a stack AoE, so everybody's like stacking up. You can also see in the screenshot right here that Orianger, I can't even say his name right, and Minfilia, they're stacked up. Thancred's not stacked up in this, but everybody but a tank is actually stacked up inside this stack AoE marker. So that was kind of cool to actually see that they were smart enough to do that. And this is a screenshot of so there's different puddles that actually spout up water and actually damage you if you're in the wrong one. Yoshi got hit by a couple of them, and then he's like, screw it, I'm just gonna follow Oringer. And then he starts trying to follow him, and apparently either there was lag, or Oringer was like just moving a little too slow, and this is the one where Yoshi ends up getting hit and starts taking some damage. I don't know how close he got to dying. I didn't pay attention to that because I was laughing at the same point that everybody else was laughing on the stream, because it was funny. Because Yoshi was even mentioning, he's like, Oranger, you're not moving when you're supposed to. You're not helping me out. I'm following you. So they end up killing the boss. That's kind of be expected. The next thing right here that I'm going to show you is something that was kind of interesting to see. So this dungeon, like if you look in the background of this dungeon, it has like a certain look right now, but as they start walking through, it's like there's some kind of magic or something going around the outside of this, where it actually transforms into another area. So this is exactly the same direction that we were just looking, and it just completely changed. So now you see a whole bunch of trees, vines, and all this other foliage right here, where if we go back right here, it wasn't there a second ago. So this kind of reminds me of when you're doing like the reconstructions for the towns, how like all the different things around town actually as they get upgraded, they start looking different. It kind of reminds me of that. So if it is that, if it isn't that, I don't know for sure, but that's what it reminded me of for sure. The next thing that they had up was gatherer crafting adjustments. So they started going over them. That's an actual, like the axe on that is actually pretty cool. Like I like that. Obviously, new actions and traits are going to be added. That's a given. That's definitely a given. New information will be added to gathering and fishing logs via tomes of regional folklore. Well, yeah, that seemed like that was going to be a given too. Unspoiled legendary inferior gathering point appearance timing. Um, I think, yeah, that's the main topic right there, and then it starts breaking it down right there underneath. It says for items that have been obtained via gathering at least once. I'm not sure exactly what they were meaning by that, but this next one actually seems like something that's going to help out a lot of people. Alarms for gathering point timing can be enabled via subcommands. So I don't know if you're going to be able to right click on like an item inside your gathering log, or if it's like some kind of text command that you have to type in to actually enable something. Um, for right now, I just go to Garland tools to actually set up alarms saying, "Hey, this is this item is going to be coming up pretty soon. Just a heads up. Like this timed node is actually going to come up if you want to be available for that." So yeah, I just use Garland tools right now. I don't know how much that's gonna take functionality away from Garland tools. I know Garland tools is gonna be pretty valuable still. I know I use that even without the alerts. I still go to that for looking at gear and being able to figure out if an item is actually going to be able to be socketed with materia, what materia I can put into that. Just a couple things like that. And for that same function, I actually go to the gear calculator website. I can't even think of the name right now. I go to that too. But for the most part, I use Garland tools to try to figure out exactly where stuff comes from, if it's crafting, or if it comes from crafting or any other means. I also go to that to see if I can get stuff cheap from any of the vendors around town. Um, what else are they talking about here? New tackles for various fish in 2.0 areas will be added. So I think that's one way that they're going to be able to get some, not a lot, but just some people back into the original 2.0 areas. The difficulty for obtaining tomes of regional folklore will be reduced. I didn't really think about this, but this does make sense. Um, of course, you're going to want to make those a little bit easier than they were before. Those are older gear. It's to help older or newer players actually come into the game and start jumping up as fast as they can and start getting ramped up. Um, they're going to add new actions to be added. Well, that's pretty much a given. You're going to be higher level. You're going to have new things available to you, like new abilities. Of course, it's going to happen. This thing caught me off guard though. So Steady Hand 2 and Brigate's Blessing are now going to be added to all classes. That's kind of cool. So it's not just going to be with what Steady Hand is with Leatherworker, and Brigate's is from um, woodworking, I think. I can't remember for sure. Um, so now you don't have to level up those two specifically just to get those um, crafting abilities, even though at this point everybody pretty much does level up every single crafter, so they have everything available to them. Um, Recipe aspects will be removed. Um, I'm not sure about those. Those might be like the um, firebrand ones or like earth brands, where when you're crafting you have like the elements uh, all around you, like your hands or something, or I don't know. I never used any of those recipes, to be honest. Um, I don't think I ever will, but now, well, now I never will if they're going to remove them. The crafting UI is going to be updated. Now, this looked pretty cool, actually. So durability, condition, and condition will be displayed more clearly. I don't know how that could be even better. That just seemed, to be honest, I think they just changed the colors. Honestly, it looks the same to me. The little bar underneath the durability, where it has all those little boxes. Yeah, that's not. Honestly, to me, that's not going to help me out. I just care about the numbers. That's what I'm looking at. When active, the collectible synthesis status will be clearly displayed. Again, for me, I just looked underneath the status bar under my character to see if it was available or not. Active crafting statuses, as well as the resulting increases from actions, assuming a base of 100% efficiency, will be displayed during synthesis. Oh, okay. So that's the text underneath. It actually says what you're going to do if you progress or if you increase your quality. I wonder if that includes like anytime like you use hasty touch or you have inner quiet on. Every single time that goes up, does that number go up at the same time? Or if you have ingenuity active, does that number show up under progress? I guess we'll have to wait and see. The resulting increases from actions, assuming the base efficiency, will be displayed in the crafting log. Not really 100% sure behind that. Crafters can therefore confirm the increase in progress and quality from actions, assuming a base of 100. Oh, okay. So maybe that's always going to be shown, even when you're just in the crafting log and you're not ready to craft. It's actually going to show that. That'd be interesting. Huh? That would be kind of cool. The maximum initial quality limit will be raised from form. They misspelled that. From 50% to 75% for many 5.0 and later recipes to allow for easier high quality item synthesis with high quality materials. The maximum initial quality for each recipe can be confirmed prior to synthesis. I don't think that was the thing. Let's see on the next slide in a second. The difficulty for obtaining master recipe books will be reduced. Well, that's kind of a given too. You want newer players to be ramped up as soon as possible too, so that they're not left behind. No, let's go back to this. So I wonder if this is where it says the initial quality will be raised from 50% to 75%. I wonder if that's going to be more incentive for people to not use high quality items for like materials to bump it up as high as possible. And normal quality actually is fine to use. I don't know at that point. Who knows? Who knows? We'll find out when the game comes out, or when 5.0 comes out. New crafter and gatherer gear sets. So this is just showing off what they look like. It didn't show any of the stats. I thought the botanist one looked kind of cool there. The Fisher one, I don't think you really see much of that. Unfortunately, it just doesn't. I think the way that the Lalas like just move, like the way they're standing, is not really good at showing off the gear. The miner, miner looks pretty cool. Blacksmith, armor, carpenter. I like the carpenter outfit. That really looks cool. I really like that. I'm digging it. The leather worker, that's a lot of leather. That really is a lot of leather. Weaver. We in the live letter, They were talking about how he looks like a magician. I kind of laughed at that too, but honestly, this looks like a previous costume that they had before for one of the other patches. And that's the first thing I started thinking. It had a different hat, but pretty much the rest of the outfit kind of looked the same. It really did kind of look the same. Goldsmith looks really cool. I really like that outfit. Culinarian, they pointed out that the frying pan actually looks like a Spriggan. But they didn't say Spriggan. They said it looks like an animal with two ears popping off of its head. But everybody, look at it. It's a Spriggan. It's definitely a Spriggan. And then they talked about the alchemist. They didn't really talk about that much actually. It is what it is. The the alchemist grinder thing, whatever you call that, the pistol, I think, that is really really detailed. That is cool. I didn't see that before. That is definitely cool. And then they took a break. They started going over the album that's going to be coming out. So they had like a full video for one of the songs that they had out there. This is really cool. I didn't pay attention to this before, but this was actually filmed at the Fan Fest over in Tokyo. And you could see everybody had their light sticks that they were holding. They just looked like they were having so much fun when they were up on stage. And this is the date that it's actually going to be released. I think you can pre-order through Square Enix's website. But definitely that's the thing that they were trying to promote right there. So the next thing that they had was they were showing the media tours when they were going all around. This is the part where they were showcasing the San Francisco. It didn't look like either they had too many chairs or it looked like there weren't as many people that showed up as you really think would have actually been there. I was kind of amazed that the North American people that were actually invited out to San Francisco, that there really wasn't a lot. It didn't seem like a lot, figuring like what there's 16 million people playing the game or something like that. I probably have that number wrong, but there's a lot of people, and just to have like it looked like under 50 people, probably 30 or under, actually attended this event, which that doesn't seem like a lot. I would have figured that they would have brought in more people to actually hype up the game for that. So then they come back from break. They start going over the system updates. They start talking about the two different tomes that they're going to have. The first one, Go Edda, and then Phantasmagoria. They said that Phantasmagoria is going to be the one that's going to be locked out per week. So you could only get like I think it's 400 or something like that per week, and then it just cuts you off. You can't get any more. But the other one, Go Edda, that one you're going to be able to keep on getting. I think that's going to be like the one that you can build up and get gear with first before you cap out Phantasmagoria. So that's going to be kind of cool. White Crafters and Gatherer script will be added. So that's going to be the next one that's going to be added. We already have red, blue, and yellow right now. I think they're going to get rid of blue. I think that's the thing. And they're going to keep red, yellow, and white at that point. So white's going to be the new one to go after. Glamour Dressers capacity will be increased from 200 to 400 items, and Glamour Plates will be increased from 10 to 15. They mentioned how they knew that people wanted this, but I think people wanted more of the ability to actually use Glamour Dressers in more places. I think that was more of the thing that people wanted, I think. I could be wrong. Either, well, by having this capacity raised anyways, that's taking care of one thing. That's definitely something that people are not going to complain about. Furnishing preview will be added. Just doesn't include certain seasonal items or rewards. Those are going to be exempted. Oh, this is one thing that I thought was kind of interesting. They had this mount that they showed up on the screen right here. This reminds me of one of the robots that's actually in Final Fantasy XI. It looks different. They're like in 11, they're like soldiers in Windurst, but they have the same feet as this, but they're not frogs. They represent like actual cards in a deck of cards. It's different. It's different. You had to have played that game to definitely get it. So he flies that around, and there's two different rockets that come off the back and starts helping it fly. It was kind of hilarious. The next thing that they were showing was the special mount for Gunbreaker, for leveling it up. It's a saber-toothed tiger. They also mentioned if you get higher and higher levels, that it actually might get armor. That's kind of, I don't know. I had questions about that because is it a totally separate mount, or is it the same mount, or is it armor that you can put on the mount itself? And if you can do it to that, can you put armor on other mounts? But then that would take away some of the look of some of the other mounts. I don't know. It just seemed different. It just seemed really, really different. So this is the preview, or the housing preview that they were showing. And you could do it for any of the indoor items or for the outdoor items. Like this is like a fallen tree for the outdoor. And then this is like some kind of beach chair that they had out here. One of the things that they showed right here was you can actually dye it. I didn't know. Well, first of all, I didn't know you could dye things like that. Or maybe it's just coming out with 5.0. Who knows? I definitely don't know. And then they started showing screenshots. He showed a screenshot of this guy right here that's sitting at a desk. It looks like a basket of sandwiches. There's a kettle on there. There's some glasses that are on the table. There's also a cash register that's there. I think the clock on the wall, I think that's new. And I don't think I've ever seen those lamps that are on the back lighting up the doorway right there. They also mentioned that the doorway arch right there, that's new to the game too. That's one of the things that they actually introduced with that they were showcasing with the preview earlier that I didn't get a screenshot for. So then they started going over some of the gear that's actually going to be there, or be in the dungeons. I think it's a dungeon gear. This looks like it's a ninja. It looks okay. This is probably a gunbreaker at this point. Yeah, again, it looks like it's the same dungeon. It's probably the same dungeon. No, it looks like maybe it's a different dungeon. I don't know. Who knows? We'll find out. Astro. And then the frog suit. The frog suit everybody was laughing at. It was actually, I was kind of caught off guard, and I didn't think this was something I would go after. And then I started thinking, I have an alt that's a LII. I wonder what this would look like on the alt. And the more I started thinking about it, the more and more I liked it, and the more and more I wanted to get it. So this is definitely one of the things I'm going to be going after when the game comes out, when 5.0 comes out. And it's only specifically going to my LII character. A little bit more gear. And then they showed off these minions, which I thought were pretty cool. That it looks really, really detailed, being like a chibi design. I pretty much want these. I definitely want these. I hope they don't put them in the cash shop. If they do, I'm probably not going to buy them. But I really, really, really want these. I really want these. They look cool. So back over to more system updates. They were talking about how the hunt limit, the Centrino seal limit, will be increased from 1,000 to 4,000. This is to help out those people that are running hunts and they don't always have time to go back and dump out their seals. That's one of the things I hated when I was running hunts. But I can see how now you can move from server to server, and do hunts there. So I can see how you can rack up a lot of hunt seals pretty quick if everybody works together at that point. I don't know if people are going to help or work together at that point. We'll find out. We'll definitely find out. When in possession of requisite bill, the direction and status of the B mark will be displayed when nearby. So I think this is, if you're kind of in the area of the map, it'll actually locate it. It'll actually pop up these marks or these notifications right here. But if you're in the right zone, but you're not even close to it, I don't think it's going to say anything. So I think it's going to be like the sightseeing log, where you get close to one of those things and it actually gives you a message in your chat box. But if you move too far away, then it says you're not even close. Kind of like the second message right here. You no longer sense the presence of your mark. When an S rank spawns in the region, a message will be displayed. So when they say region, that's what I'm not sure about. Is it the zone itself, or is it just the region, like, of the three or two different zones that belong to that region? Is that what they're talking about? I don't know if I explained that too well, but I think they didn't explain. I think that's it. It's just, this is too broad right now. But I think this will make more sense once 5.0 launches. So that's another thing to just keep on waiting out for. Retrainer window will be updated, and a sort function will be added. Yeah, this looks kind of cool. It would be interesting to know is if, well, obviously you can't go in there and actually, well, is this under the timer window, or is this like once you ring the bell, when they come out, does this pop up? So it could be either or at that point. I don't know. That's another one to wait and see. Material melding requests can be sent in succession. Yeah, they talked about when you're in a dungeon or when you're in a raid and you want somebody to meld for you, that you can just do it in a row and not have to wait and wait in queue for the next person or something like that. I don't know. I don't know about that one. And if people were really having that much of a problem, that seemed like it would be a niche kind of thing. If it was that, all mounts will have flying enabled. Now that's one thing I ran into. I think it was last week. I do have the Paladin. I think Warlion. I think it is. And I was in a Shadowbringers area. and I was trying to fly, but it wouldn't fly. So I was like, you got to be kidding me. And so I jumped off the mount, got a different mount so I could fly with that, switched back over to the Warline, tried to fly again, could not fly. I'm like, well, okay, well, maybe this doesn't have flying enabled on it. So this was actually really, really cool to see, that they were looking into it, and they knew ahead of time. So that's not going to be a thing anymore. What else do we got here? Achievement filters will be added. So yeah, the 4 buttons off, like in the upper right there, you can see that there's 4 buttons. One's going to be for finish, complete, item rewards, and title rewards. You can actually filter it just right there. I think that's going to be kind of cool. I don't look at a lot of achievements. Some of the things do actually are some of the things I do look for. So like in the last patch, I was looking for gather one of each item to be able to get like a certain weapon or like a certain tool. I started going through those, and I used that to actually figure out what I needed to get and how many I needed to get. It did help me narrow it down a lot. An achievement watch list function will be added. That's going to be kind of cool. That would actually help me out for that too. Because like, let's say like I was trying to get like the botanist tool where I was trying to get one of every item. It would be easier for me to actually go in a watch list if it was actually set up in that, instead of clicking in, like, I think it's like 3 levels deep or something like that. And then scrolling down a whole bunch. It would just be so much easier if I would have 2 clicks and it's there. No scrolling, no anything at that point. So that would be kind of cool. See here, changes to mentor certification. Now, this is actually really, really cool. That they're going to have new requirements. This right here, that's pretty much just what it's saying. Players who obtain certification prior to 5.0 but do not meet the new requirements will retain their current status for the duration of 5.0. And it's only 5.0. Anything like right underneath it says, however, as of 5.1, to ensure all mentors are held to the same standard, changes will be implemented to encourage mentors who qualified under the old system to obtain recertification. Please note that mentors who do not do this during 5.1 will lose their certification in 5.2. I think that's kind of cool. There's a lot of people that actually did that just because they wanted the fancy looking icon next to their name. I know there's a whole bunch of people that actually wanted to have the crown because they thought it looked cool. They didn't care what it stood for, but they just wanted it because it looked cool. Is that really helpful to people? No. A lot of the people I saw with the crown, like, this is just my experience, they spread a whole bunch of misinformation a lot of the times, and there were a handful of times where they were telling or yelling at people that were newer to that level or dungeon or something. They said, no, you have to do it this way. This is the only way. And how is that correct? I didn't see that as really helpful to the person that didn't know at that point, because the way that they were putting across that information just wasn't helpful. So on right here, it just goes over all the different things that are going to be the new requirements starting in 5.0. Pretty much, I don't know what the requirements are now currently in the game. I don't know how that differs, or if it's massively different at this point. I don't know, but hopefully it'll cut down on some of the people that are spreading misinformation and not really being helpful to new players. Then next they started talking about Eden, the Eden raids, at that point. So they actually brought us to the area right there, and there's people speculating, is this one of the areas where you can go around and you can, is it going to be a restoration area? So as he keeps on turning right there, you see that little, or that thing in the background. Oh, that thing in the background. And on Reddit, there were some people that were mentioning that Eden is actually in a previous Final Fantasy game. I think it was Final Fantasy VI. And they had pictures and they were comparing it to this version. And it kind of looked the same. It looked pretty similar. Honestly, it did look similar, but there wasn't a lot shown about this. It was just that, and then they moved away from it. So then they moved over to the key characters right here. On Reddit, people were like flipping out because of Thancred's last name. I don't know why this was a thing. People were like being weirded out, and they're being amazed and astonished by this. Of course, everybody's going to have a last name. That just seems like a given, like especially in this game at this point. I wouldn't have guessed Waters was his last name, but whatever. All right, so this goes over. So they briefly mentioned how the storyline was actually going to go over why Thancred actually became a guns breaker throughout the storyline. They're actually going to mention that. What else was there anything else about Thancred that they were going to talk about? No. Yushitola. Now, they mentioned that you should watch the trailer for 5.0. And they also pointed out that Oranger, I butchered that name again, when both him and Yushitola were in a scene where there was fire all over the place, he mentioned to this character, he called her Master Matoya. Now, that's one thing I was thinking of since I saw the very, very, very first trailer, is Master Matoya is probably inside of her body at this point. Like her body, like, probably gave up at some, like, because she was getting old. And Yoshitola she's off in the ether still, that they can't find her. So that would make sense to me that they're still trying to find her. And even in the trailer, Master Matoya actually says, she says, I'll hold them off for now while she's away, or just something to that point. And that gave me even more of a thought that Yoshitola is not here at all. And also on the far left image right there, you can look at the eyes. They're not like clouded over like they were before. Yeah, pretty much. Uringer, they briefly talked about him. Remember, he had some deal that he talked to one of the not the Scions, the bad guys. I can't remember their name right now. He talked to them for some reason, but it was only brief, and he didn't really tell anybody else, which I thought was kind of weird and shady, but who knows? Probably come back in another storyline or something. Alphino, they were talking about how he was the youngest individual in history to be accepted into the stadium. Yeah, I like how they're building him up. He's going to be, honestly, I think he's going to be like the leader up to a point, and then all of a sudden he's going to disappear also. For some reason, I don't know. LII. One thing I wanted to mention about her that I didn't say earlier was uh, each per or when you have people selected from the trust system, each person has their little actions and their attitude and how they portray themselves. One thing that Yoshi actually mentioned on stream was whenever she's in the party and the second you get a full limit break bar, she uses it immediately. It doesn't matter. She just uses it immediately. And they were quick to point out that this very last line here, she's inspired by those she lost in her many travels. She strives to better herself for the sake of those she can yet save. So she's trying to make sure that there's nobody that's actually going to die. So that's why she just goes all out. She's that kind of person. That's her kind of personality, I guess, at that point. Minfilia. This is another thing in the latest trailer that you could actually see is there's actually two Minfilias if you see it or if you pay attention. There's this little child person, and then there's like this more grown up person. They kind of hinted that this isn't Minfilia, which would kind of make sense. Are both of them from Heidelin? Like they're not actually a person, but kind of like some spirit that Heidelin actually created. I don't know. Or are they like Heidelin themselves that Heidelin actually created like a person to be their puppet? That was another thing I thought about recently. Who knows? Just have to play the story to find out. This guy. At first, I actually thought this was Y'shtola. But after I started reading this description for this person, there's no way that could be Y'shtola because this person's probably been on the first for a long, long time. And if Y'shtola was taken away by the ether not too long ago, that doesn't make sense unless there's some kind of time shift. That the first and the source are actually running in two different time skips, I guess. At that point, yeah, it just doesn't make sense in my head. So I'm thinking that this has to be a totally completely different person at this point. Solus, he was definitely shown to be an Ascian, like way before this past trailer. It'd be interesting to find out if, like, I don't know for sure if an Ascian took over his body or if he actually is an Ascian, and he was on both the Ascian side and the Garland side at the same time. But I thought the Ascians and the Garlands didn't like each other. So, I don't know. I don't know at that point. But we'll find out. And then these two guys. The guy on the left, I want to think that he's a bad guy because in this last trailer, he had two of those Sin Eater things next to him. Like, not too far away from him, just next to him. I don't remember the guy on the right. They said that he was in the trailer, but I don't really remember him. I'll have to look at the trailer again. But they said, are these good guys or are they bad guys? And they kind of made it sound like these are both good guys, but I don't know. Find out. They talked about the bunny girl on the left, that she's the captain of like her squad that we'll be able to meet up with and find out a little bit more about her. And then the pixie on the right, or the fairy, they said that she's an important character also, that we're gonna find out about and talk with So I wonder if she's part of like the Titania storyline, if she's probably going to pop up for that. And then we come to the Heroes of the First. So these look like the Warriors of Light that you see in the very, very, very first trailer. And you've seen in a couple different trailers since then. In one of the Shadowbringer, I think it was the Shadowbringer cutscenes, he refers to himself as the Warrior of Dark, or Darkness, which totally threw me off for a while. But it kind of makes sense now that if he came from the first, the good guys are the Warriors of Dark. Those are the good guys. Those are not the bad guys. So when he came over, he moved from the first over to the source. They still kept their same name, and they were talking about how light is actually bad when they came over. So that would actually make sense, because over on the source, we think that Highland's good, and then we think Zodiark's bad. But on the first, it's the other way around. So that's kind of interesting. So then this goes over the schedule. Start of early access is June 28th. Start of official service is July 2nd. 2 weeks after that, patch 5.01 is released with Eden Normal on July 16th. About 2 weeks after that, then they have patch 5.05, where it's going to have Eden Savage, Tombstones of Phantasmagoria, and the Dungeons of Lin Ga, who I don't know. So that's going to be like one of the extreme dungeons, and that's going to come out in July 30th. Yoshi P and the crew, they did actually mention, and I think it was also on Reddit too, they said this is for you to actually plan out your stuff. Obviously, it would be great to get in on June 28th. And by the way, June 28th is a Friday. So you have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so that's like 3 days of playing early access. You don't have to take time off for that. That's your weekend right there, which is pretty cool, actually. Like, I dig it. I'm along with it at that point. So there's no need for people to actually take their vacation from work at that point. Probably what's going to happen is people are going to be taking their vacation starting July 30th when Eden Savage comes out. That's probably what's really going to happen. So they announced new worlds that are going to be added to the European data centers. There's going to be Spriggan and Twintania. They talked about the special hand controller that they were demoing at the last live ladder. They said pre-orders open up on those dates. They have different links for all the different regions to actually. I didn't click on them, or I didn't even go to these sites. There's going to be more information at each one of these sites. And they demoed it like they had it in person there. So then they were showing like Yoshi was just using it again at that point and running around and jumping. And he likes it. He really does like it. Going back to this, it looks like it's left hand only. I wonder if there's a right hand version, because I'm used to doing things with my right hand, not so much with my left hand. I don't know how easy it would be for me to adapt to it. I don't know, but I wonder if there's a right hand version that they have available. And then they started talking about the Eorzean Symphony that's only in Japan, that we're not going to talk about too much. They start going over the security token, which I thought was really, really interesting. This is definitely one thing that is kind of cool. Like, I have like the software app, so I don't have the hardware token rate like this. The software app itself, it resides on my phone. It generates like the 6-digit number for me, so I can use that one-time password thing. It just works. I'd rather use that to put a little bit more security behind my password. Some people don't. It's up to them. So this goes over the release date for these right here. Is July 2nd. The price is going to be $14, pretty much $15 for US. There was somebody on Reddit that mentioned that the current price of the older version, the current version that is right now, goes for $10, something like $10 right now. So it's like $5 increase if you wait until after to get this one right here. They did mention in the stream that there's some people where either the battery's starting to die, so it's not generating numbers, or it's giving you the incorrect numbers at that point. So it's time to upgrade, and this would be the perfect time to actually upgrade. Here we go, talking about the arrangement album again, where they say when it goes on sale, the price, everything that's included to go along with it too. Interesting enough, it doesn't say that the minions actually get included with this either. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to change that or not. Who knows? We'll find out. Then they announced that they're going to have like a patch note reading like they do every single time for big patches like this. It's going to be scheduled for Thursday, June 27th at 7 o'clock Japan time. And they said that it's only going to be read in Japanese. There's not going to be any translation. But the patch notes are going to be up in every single region anyways, so that everybody can read along and try to figure out what's going on, their plan for what's going to happen. Usually patch notes are split up. There's a tentative set of patch notes that you can read through a couple days before, and then the actual patch notes get posted up during maintenance that you can read. The tentative ones are just there so that if there's something spoilery, that it's not going to like be impacting like what you're going to read after that. So that's usually what happens. And they also announced that the voice actor for Thancred is actually going to be in Japan reading those with Yoshi and Foxclon. They talked about the Japan Expo coming out Thursday, July 4th in Paris. And then during this part, Yoshi was he was like, wait a second. The patch goes live on July 2nd. He's like, when am I going to be able to level up my character? And there's kind of silence around that. And he's like, well, maybe I'm just going to level it up inside my hotel room. And then he just kept on looking baffled and kind of sad looking at that point. And he's just like, well, I want, pretty much the face that he was running with was, well, I want to play. I want to level up. I know it's going to happen, but I want to level up my character. So hopefully he gets time that he can actually level up that character. They had a promotion, or they had a little segment right here for Father Light, the movie that's coming out, Brave Father Online. They're looking to actually bring it out to the West. This is something, I think it's on Netflix in the United States that you can actually watch it. This is something I kind of want to watch, but I'm not sure about yet. I don't have a Netflix account. I don't know how I'm going to watch it, but yeah, I want to go see this, to be honest. If they bring it over to the United States, I would definitely go see it. And then they had the two actors that play the two characters inside the movie. They're right here. They had a little short presentation saying, hey, please go watch it, you know. So yeah, that was it for the live letter. Thanks for watching this. If you like this, please leave a like and subscribe. All right, Snowflake out.